how to speak so your kids listen. Okay, so I've spent the last 23 years of my life training myself to really to be, but certainly to speak in a way that young people who don't have really any reason to listen to me do. Okay, and if you apply these few principles I go over in this video, I can almost guarantee, well, for sure I can guarantee that it will increase your odds of your kids and the young people in your life listen to you, because you'll become more magnetic, okay? And I'll talk about what that means here shortly. All right, so here's the thing. When I practiced these principles, I created a compelling reason for them to listen to what I had to say. And what I did was created a context that what I said had value for them. Now, granted, I was a therapist, a coach, a mentor in these roles. I wasn't their parents. So it's going to be harder for you, ironically, and most likely because you're closer to them, to have them listen to you. But if you still apply these principles, it'll help you, okay? So the first thing is align your feelings with your words. People don't hear what you say, they hear how you feel. Meaning it isn't words that necessarily communicate, it's the feelings behind them. So a quick example, I'm walking down the street and there are two people that I pass. One person looks at me and says, "Nice shirt." Right? I'm like, wow, what did I do? I'm just a bald guy walking with this reddish linen shirt down the street. Second person comes by, "Nice shirt." I was like, hey, what did I do? I'm just a bald guy walking down the street with a red shirt. So you could see in my little playful example that it was the feelings that were driving the words there. I know this might even seem overly simplistic, but it becomes highly relevant when you start saying things like, "How could you stay out that late last night? I was so worried." Well, yes, I was worried, but clearly I'm angry and frustrated, right? And there's probably care underneath the anger and the frustration, but I'm not leading with that. So my words aren't really aligned in that moment as a parent, right? So that's the first thing. And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel angry. When we communicate with anger, most of the time, not all of them, but most of the time, young people don't feel cared for. There is a way that I would call an advanced parenting technique that for some people it's natural for. It certainly wasn't for me and isn't for most parents I work with, that anger can actually promote care and connection. But it's very advanced. I don't recommend getting into it. So shift your feelings such that you soften and then align your feelings with your words, right? So you want to consistently apply your softened feelings that are fertile for connection with your words. When you were out last night, I was really worried. You were out so late. In fact, I couldn't sleep because I'm having a hard time trusting your word. You know, you tell me you're going to come home at midnight because we agreed to that, and then you come home at 2 a.m. I don't hear from you. I'm worried, and to be honest, I was pretty pissed. I'm trying not to be pissed because I want to understand why you did it and what is going on with you such that this agreement isn't working for you. But I'm worried, and sometimes I get angry about it, right? So right there, you can feel how my feelings are aligned, right? I'm actually saying what I'm feeling. You could probably tell that I'd done some work on the frustration that I felt the night before in my little role play here to shift and to soften, because you could tell I was a lot more available to actually hear what they had to say and have it be a conversation as opposed to a lecture. I want to stay away from lecturing, okay? So apply this more and more times. How many times have you said the right thing to your kids and they don't respond the way that you thought they would? Well, there are two reasons because of that. One is that you probably weren't emotionally aligned with your words. So they were hearing something that it was a lie, essentially. Like I was saying, "I care about you," which may be true, but the care is veiled by the anger, right? So it'd be different if I said, "I care about you, and God, I'm so angry right now." You know, but that's about me. That's not about them per se, right? So that's the first reason that they don't really listen to you, or you don't have the impact that you wish you had. The second reason that it's all about them. That even when you as a parent can be very caring, very transparent, very aligned, having your feelings aligned with your words, and they don't respond in the way that you would want them to, which is usually like opening up and having a dialogue, that they are reminded of some experience that you're bringing up that's having them feel a certain way that doesn't have them feel open. So you can only do about 50% in those moments, right? When they're triggered. And that's where you have to be flexible as a parent, emotionally flexible, I would say. When I'm training other therapists, I actually say that one of our jobs as a therapist, this is somewhat true for a parent, sometimes true for a parent, is that we have to be emotionally flexible. Meaning we have to be, if we want to be effective as a parent or as a therapist or as a mentor, we have to be the kind of person they need us to be in that moment. And that it's not so much about us. Meaning if I have to be big and powerful and strong and loving and kind of papa bear, mama bear, I can do that. If I need to be very almost meek and be very humble and even put them above me and get myself below them because I need them to trust me in that moment, or I want them to open up, or I can see they're hurt but they look like they're angry, then I can do that. So one of your jobs as a parent is to become as flexible as possible. And a huge part of that is having your feelings align with your words. Okay, 2 and 3 are all about taking ownership for your own feelings. Number 2 is about not gaslighting. Here's an example of what I mean by that. Say I'm a father and I'm talking to my daughter. Hey, sweetie, I just want to talk to you because I want to find out more about why you're hanging out with these friends. Like I watched this guy on YouTube and he was like, try to be more understanding. And so I'm working on being more understanding with you. And I just want to understand why you're hanging out with those friends of yours, because they really don't seem like they're not good people, but the way they dress, the way they don't really go to school, that I see them smoking weed a lot. I'm just curious, like, why would you hang out with them? You can imagine how my daughter, my imaginary daughter in this case, is going to respond to that. Because one, my feelings aren't aligned with my words. I'm feeling judgmental. I'm feeling protective of her. I'm feeling concerned and really worried about her because she's starting to act like these kids that she's hanging out with. But I'm not actually curious. I'm not really seeking to understand. What I'm really saying is, I don't want you to do that anymore. You're not allowed to hang out with them. I'm really worried. I'm really concerned. And I'm going to ground you until you find other friends. Right? So that's really what's driving it. Now, if she gets upset, which she will get upset by that, about my perceived understanding, or my contrived understanding, and then I say, why are you getting upset? I'm just being understanding. That's the gaslighting, right? I'm putting it on her. Like, why are you offended? I was just being understanding. But that comes from a parent who's unaware. Like in that moment, I'm just not aware. It's okay if I'm judgmental about things. I mean, I'm a monk and I'm judgmental about things, okay? But I own it and I do something about it as soon as I become aware. And I'm committed to not being a judgmental person, right? Even though I have judgments every day about a million things, right? I'm in my own evolution, as are you, is everybody on the planet, right? So we want to become aligned, right? And if I'm feeling judgmental, deal with that on the side. Don't bring it into this relationship. Or if I am, own it. I'm realizing that I'm actually judgmental of your friends, and I wish I wasn't. I'm actually working on that, and I can appreciate how close you are to them and how they really bring something to you that has you feel connected and a part of something. And it honestly makes me sad because I wish you felt that way with our family, but I can understand, and I actually just want to find out why you don't want to be connected to us. Well, Dad, it's because you're judgmental. You just said it. Fair enough. I kind of opened the door for you to walk through that one. I see. I can tell you that I'm really working on it, and I would actually like to meet them sometimes so that I can more deeply understand like why you really like them. And do you want to share about why you really like them, why you're connected with them? I mean, I have concerns, but I'll set them aside because it's more important to me is understanding you and understanding the person that you are. Maybe so that I can guide you. But more importantly, I just want to get you. I want to understand you. I care so much about you. I love you. You're my daughter. So I just want to understand. You know what I mean? You can tell how that's going to have her, even just owning that I'm judgmental and I'm working on it, is going to have her lower her guard. Now, if I keep being judgmental, she's not going to trust me, and she shouldn't, by the way. But for us to put the ownership of them not sharing in the way that we want, meaning she's not opening up, because she knows and can feel that I'm judgmental, and that's not on her, that's on me. right? So in this vignette, you can feel it. The second principle is we own our feelings and we don't gaslight, right? Gaslighting comes from, well, manipulation, yes, but usually a lack of awareness. This unintentional gaslighting comes from a lack of awareness and stress are the two sources of that primarily. Okay, so we get that one. The second part of owning your feelings that I want to talk about with you is owning your feelings and keeping your role distinct as a parent. What do I mean by that? Meaning we don't put ownership for our feelings onto our kids, right? We navigate them ourselves. Here's an example of this. Sweetie, every time you come home late from curfew, I get worried and I can't sleep. And when you do that, I freak out, I get stressed, I literally can't fall asleep, so I need you to come home early from curfew. You need to come home on time, actually. And in fact, I'm going to make your curfew 11 p.m. instead of midnight because I can't sleep and I've got to get to bed by 11 p.m. in order for me to go to work. You can imagine how frustrating that's going to feel for that child because they have to behave in a certain way in order for me to feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, essentially, you have to do X so that I don't feel Y. Now, this isn't black and white. There's a gray area there. I get it. But even if that's the case, there's a way of navigating that conversation such that I, as the parent, take ownership in that dialogue. So, for example, I know that I have to be better at trusting you when you're out late. I get that. I actually would like you to be more independent and to stay out later, potentially. But as it is right now, you're not trustworthy. You say you're going to come home at midnight. You come home at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. sometimes. Sometimes you call, sometimes you don't. That leaves me feeling pretty anxious. I know I've got to deal with my own anxiety around that and my own worry. I understand that. And I actually am working on it. It doesn't help my anxiety when you don't make it regular. If you can start coming home on time at midnight and you're reliable and I'm still anxious, then that's on me and I will deal with that. And if you can do that, I will consider extending your curfew actually because you're acting responsibly. But the way it is right now, you're not coming home on time and it makes me, an already anxious parent, more anxious. So that's the deal. You can imagine how it's going to go. They might still be upset. They might still, kind of try to make it all about me and that they not take any responsibility themselves. But you can see I kind of created through my ownership. And by the way, vulnerability is a part of ownership. That's why when people take ownership, you feel more connected because when you're vulnerable, you can actually be connected. When I have that dialogue, you can tell there's the possibility at least that they engage in that dialogue with me and we can have a good conversation, a good connection, and ultimately a better agreement around having them get more independence, be more independent. But I'm an irresponsible parent if I just am like, oh, I'm just anxious, you can do whatever you want. I don't think a lot of people are like that, but who are watching this anyway. But I think that's the pillar here. Is the second piece is that I'm owning my feelings. I'm owning my feelings in a way that I don't make them responsible for me. Right? So I've got to do my own work here such that I feel less anxious even when they're doing appropriate things. Like if I said your curfew is midnight and they're coming home on midnight and I'm still anxious, that's about me. Now I might have a conversation with them about it, but probably not. I just got to deal with that myself, with my therapist, with my partner, with my friends, whoever it is, that help me navigate feeling less anxious in the face of appropriate structure that I've created. Right? I mean, you can even say things as a parent, I'm struggling and I'm okay, right? You just don't want to communicate the I'm struggling and I'm not okay. Because what happens then is that then they feel like they have to parent you. And that's no bueno, all right? That's not good. Because what happens is they stop growing up, right? They stop being the child and doing the things that a child or a teenager or a young adult should do. And they instantly click on skipping that evolutionary step and becoming a parent. And most people I know get resentful about that, young people. They get resentful about it with you, and honestly worse, they get resentful with themselves about it, okay? So we don't want to set up that role reversal, it's called, where they feel like they're responsible for you, okay? So let's recap really quick. Number one, if you want your kids to listen to you, align your feelings with your words. People don't hear what you say, they hear how you feel. So be direct, be clear, be kind in how you speak as much as you can, and they're going to start to trust you more. The more they trust you, the more they're going to listen to you. Number 2, take ownership for your feelings and don't gaslight, right? So meaning I own my feelings, I navigate my feelings, and I don't make them wrong or hold them accountable for feeling frustrated when they should because I'm miscommunicating, right? That gaslighting is infuriating. And I see a lot of parents do it simply because they're not aware. So become more aware, okay? Thirdly, take ownership for your feelings in a way that doesn't have them be the parent to you, right? Take care of your own feelings, own your own feelings, especially with anger, frustration, anxiety, worry, jealousy, all those things. If your kids are doing vaguely appropriate things and maybe missing some boundaries, and it's really upsetting to you, then that's a sign that you have to do your own work, your own emotional work, again, with the people that you trust the most. If you practice this enough, I do these things naturally now, and I have yet to find a young person who, given enough time and exposure to me, of us working together, that they don't soften and trust me. Because I exercise these principles. And if you just even start practicing, you don't even have to be good at it. If you start practicing it, your kids will start to feel your intent. And over time, they're going to listen to you more. I'm with you in this. You got it. And all my best.